We're going to end our study of agriculture and farming by taking a look at GMOs, hybrids, and organics. You've probably heard of all three of these things before. I know, you're probably thinking, wow, I'm so happy that we're coming to the end of agriculture. But keep this in mind. You eat, and as a result of that, you should probably know where your food comes from, what it is, how it's produced, and what's in it. So what are GMOs, hybrids, and organics? What are the differences between these things? And what foods fall into these categories? Let's start by taking a look at GMOs. GMO stands for genetically modified organisms. These are products or crops derived from organisms whose genetic material has been altered by the use of science in a laboratory, not in a field, in a way that does not and would not occur naturally. For example, genes from a starfish being added to a potato because these genes make the potato more resistant to a particular pest, along with a whole variety of other issues that can be solved through GMO, like spoilage, coloration, durability, with a whole variety of different products and crops. What sorts of things? Corn. In fact, most corn in the United States is GMO. Soybeans, cotton, potatoes, papaya, squash, apples, alfalfa, sugar beets, and more. And in fact, coming to a supermarket near you soon, Atlantic salmon. Is it safe? Well, maybe. It seems to be. Probably. But really, there haven't been any real long-term studies on it, so we don't know with certainty. They've been around and in circulation since the 1980s. So have you ever eaten them? Almost certainly yes. A high percentage of cornstarch, corn syrup, corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil, which comes from rapeseed, and granulated sugar is GMO. Now, the government does not require the labeling of GMOs for the consumer. So if you go into a supermarket, you're not going to see things, in most cases, labeled as GMO or non-GMO. They, of course, label things for organics because they know that people want organics and will pay more for it. I suspect that not labeling the GMOs is probably because if there's a choice, many people, maybe most people, would choose to have the other thing rather than the GMO. I don't know. I think in a capitalist society and in a free society like this one is, we should be allowed to choose. What about hybrids? Almost all farmed plants and animals have been hybrided through time. I created that word, hybrided. The Maya were altering corn or maize, whatever you want to call it, for greater productivity almost 2,000 years ago. This is about breeding and selection of differing varieties or species, basically for productivity. GMOs physically introduce disparate genetic material. Hybridization introduces or selects for genetic material that will naturally adapt. For example, mixing different types of flowers, breeding dogs, taking one of the 4,000 types of potatoes and mixing it with another of the 4,000 types of potatoes. That's what hybridization is about. What about organics? Well, the USDA has a definition for this. This is the United States Department of Agriculture. Here's the definition. This is the application of a set of cultural, biological, and mechanical practices that supports the cycling of on-farm resources. Remember, this would be like a version of mixed crop and livestock. Remember that term? And it promotes ecological balance and conserves biodiversity, so it's not about monoculture, along with being a production system that sustains the health of soils, ecosystems, and people. It is not just what goes on the crop, for example, pesticides or herbicides. It's what goes into the ground and the water also, for example, like with chemical fertilizers. And this is similar with animal products, adding things like antibiotics or steroids. This is not allowed with organics. Are they better for you? You know, the jury is still out, but there's some studies that show that they might be, at least in some cases. But they are definitely better for the planet, at least in my opinion they are.